May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be always acceptable to you, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. I've got a secret. I wonder if you've heard it somewhere else. I promise you that it's a secret that if you hear it and believe it, your life will never be the same again. You can't possibly imagine the size of the can of worms that I'm about to open right here and now. Are you ready to listen? Yeah. Can you promise not to tell anybody? One of the quirks of Mark's Gospel is Jesus' repeated insistence that the disciples tell nobody about Jesus being the Messiah. Now, of course, we know from other places in the Bible the intention was for them to spread the message, but I love the idea that because it was a secret, they just couldn't help themselves. And I think this makes Christianity, a religion with 2.2 billion followers around the world, a secret that got out of hand. Contrast this with today, where we try and encourage each other to share our experience of God and our faith in Jesus, and we tend to really struggle to do so. I guess that for most of us, the truth of what God has done in our lives and the reasons that despite everything we are in this place of worship right now are secrets to one extent or another. We might not deliberately be keeping it a secret. There may be good reasons why at this stage we aren't ready to share the reasons why we're here. Or maybe nobody's ever asked us. We might think that our stories aren't that remarkable, that we still aren't sure who Jesus is, or that actually it's nobody else's business. I confess that this was exactly how I felt for the first 25 years of my life. Who I thought Jesus was between me and him. Why would anybody else be interested in that? Last weekend we had our Pathways mission. This was an opportunity for us to do the kind of events we'd like to do more of, with some extra pairs of hands to inspire us and give us a boost. In essence, the question of that weekend and of our away day yesterday very much relates to our gospel reading. Two things leapt out of the passage when I read it. Jesus asks the disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" And they reply, "You are the Messiah." In other words, you are the Saviour, the one to change everything. Jesus then orders them to tell nobody. But as we know, their lives, and I think reality itself, were so changed by Jesus and their experiences with him that they just couldn't help themselves. For St. Martin's and mine, I think Jesus has two questions. Who do you say that I am? And who are you going to tell about it? As we already know from the disciples, these are not the easiest of questions. I'd like you to think back to any of the events last weekend, if you attended any, or just from your general experience in this church. From what goes on here, who do you think Jesus is? Is anybody brave enough? Well, I'll show you my thoughts. Firstly, over the weekend, I was reminded of Jesus' overwhelming concern for the poor. Bishop Philip came on Thursday night, along and we discussed some of the challenges facing the church in areas like ours. It could be very easy to get disheartened, but it was really inspiring. Bishop Philip reminded us that Jesus came to people who had been trodden down by the system, and that the renewal of the church will inevitably come from places like this. If Jesus shapes what we do, our work must reflect that Jesus prioritised those who were needful. Secondly, I was reminded of the particular care that Jesus took for children. Over the weekend we had events in 4 different schools, as mine, reaching hundreds of children and young people. In particular, we had some events helping children to experiment with creative forms of prayer. On Saturday we also launched our toddler church called Twinkle Tops, with the aim of helping families to explore their tentative faith in a fun environment. Of course, helping children and young people to get to know God is something we're doing all the time, with our Sunday school and our Mine youth work. But it's useful to remember why. Not because we're worried about statistics or getting more children in to make us look good, but because Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me." Most importantly, the Pathways mission affirmed in my mind that when Jesus is at the forefront of our lives, there is no transformation that is too great for him to effect. I think one of the most powerful elements of the weekend was the opportunity to hear some incredible individuals share their experience of God. Those of us who went to the celebration event on Sunday afternoon were lucky enough to hear a man called John share his story. He told of his upbringing in a violent home, culminating in his father murdering his mother. He relayed to us how he turned to drugs to escape reality and found himself frequenting 7 different prisons as a young man. We were stunned as he told us how turning to Jesus one night in his cell had delivered him from the grip of heroin and utterly transformed his life. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. He now works with those in prison, mentoring them and supporting them as they come out, showing them that with God all things are possible. God took a man locked in a cell and changed his life so completely that he now has the keys to the very same prisons that he was jailed in. From this story, I learned that John knows Jesus as his Saviour. Getting to know Jesus freed him from addiction, from violence, even from a cage. Getting to know Jesus was John's resurrection. I also learned that he has not kept this story to himself. He is now helping other prisoners come to faith and turn their lives around. At our away day yesterday, we reviewed the events of the mission, but also looked into the future. My suggestions for who Jesus is in this place are just suggestions. And it isn't always like this, by the way. In other places I've worshipped, Jesus has been twisted into some judgmental middle-class accountant. No offence to accountants. That's not who I read in the Gospels. And that's not who changed my life. Worshipping that person is not why I'm here. So as we move on from the mission and reflect on all that has happened, I would encourage each of you to think about who Jesus is to you. Is Jesus the shining, unattainable figure sending into heaven? Is Jesus out in pubs and on the street, mixing with those who most need to meet him? perhaps Jesus is still in the tomb. Are you still waiting to truly know what new life feels like? Between us we have a myriad of stories, and each of us knows Jesus differently. Can we be a bit braver in sharing these secrets about Jesus? Can I be a bit bolder in sharing mine? I know the challenge in what I ask. You may have noticed that I almost never bring myself into my sermons. Number one, because I'm nowhere near as interesting as any of the stories about Jesus. But number two, it's exposing. The questions that I want us to have in front of our minds are, who is Jesus to me and who do I tell? Well, as far as I know, Jesus has saved me from utter despair. Jesus has always been faithful and loving, even when I have been at my most broken and rebellious. Jesus has given me more than I could ever have hoped for or imagined. Jesus has taken every weakness in my life and turned it into a strength. Jesus has utterly transformed me, almost literally raising me from the dead. Because this is who Jesus is to me, I don't have the option of not telling anybody. It is an utter mystery to me why this happened, but now that it has, I want everyone to know that God has wonderful things in store for them, even when it seems like all is lost. When it comes to it, this is the Jesus secret. As a young Christian, instead of sharing my true feelings, if people found out I went to church, I would say, oh, I go because I like the music. Or it stops me from feeling homesick. That was one I used to use quite a lot. Or as an especially pompous 19-year-old, I would say, I only go at Christmas and Easter because it's an ingrained part of my cultural heritage. I was really that obnoxious. It was only fellow Christians encouraging me to talk honestly that built my confidence to a point where if an acquaintance said to me, so what about atheists? Have they got it wrong then? I could be brave enough to say what I was really thinking, which was, it doesn't really cross my mind whether they're wrong or not, but they're definitely missing out. For me, this is the heart of sharing the Jesus secret. It is 100% not about telling people that we have it right and they have it wrong. Being in relationship with God who is so much more powerful and merciful and loving than we can ever comprehend means that we just can't have it all right. But if we have Jesus the Messiah in our lives, then we will know that not having God to guide us is missing out. Not being open to the transformation that Jesus can start in us is missing out. And I really believe that not having a church family is missing out too. I've got a secret. And you've got a secret too. I wonder if it's the same as mine. Maybe if we share our secrets about Jesus, more people will discover the secret for themselves. Who knows? Maybe one day the transforming love of Jesus Christ won't be a secret anymore.